Hello, this is Jeff Byers. This is module 14, and this is one of the videos that's going to show you how to get started with paint weights. Start with a file, and that file is going to be underneath this video. So the file is called jbyers_arm ik_system_finished. So you want to go ahead and download that and then open the zip folder. So right click over the zip folder, go to Open with Windows Explorer. Otherwise you can just double click on it if you're using a Mac, and that should open it up. And go ahead and copy this, so copy. Okay, and then you want to go up into your system, your PC, documents, and paste it into, now if you're working off your hard drive, you'll paste it into a project, so make sure you click on a project, and you want to paste it into the scenes folder, as you can see here. Double click on the scenes folder and paste it. I've already done this, so it's all ready to go. And so then you open up Maya 2020, and then you go to File, Open Scene, and then we're going to go into find the jbyers_arm ik_system, and you can also click on Date Modified. And if you click on Date Modified, you can see that it should open up right up here, so that you can have the newest version or the latest download date. It'll go by date here, and then to find it easily. Okay, if you have a lot of stuff in here, like I do, it's really hard to find stuff in here now because I got so much stuff in here. So you can go by name, or you can go by date modified. Okay, so click on it and open it, and it should open up just fine. Click on Don't Save, and here you go. And this is what it looks like. The joints are huge. So there's a couple things we have to do before we get started on this tutorial, is to go into the preferences. Okay, you can either click on the icon down at the bottom where a gear is, a guy is running away from a gear, or you can go to Windows, Settings, Preferences, and you can find it this way. And we want to click on Kinematics, and we want to turn this down to, you can type in 0.03 or 0.3, or let's do 0.03. Maybe that'll do it. Yeah, there it is, 0.03 joint size. And then if you want to save, or you want to save it, you have to click on Save, otherwise it'll go back, it'll resort back to the other. So click on Save. Okay, and you can test it by clicking on the controller and then moving the arm back. I've got an IK system on here just for fun, just so you guys can have, and you can see the mesh density. Okay, so that plays a big part in having nice results with paint weights, is your mesh density. So keep that all in mind. If your mesh density is really low poly, painting is going to be really tough, and the results aren't going to be realistic. Okay, alright, so we haven't bound this yet, so I'm going to show you how to bind everything and how it all works. Okay, so with this, we're going to go in here and we're going to click on the root joint. So whenever you create a bind skin, you'll have to create on the root joint, and with this particular object, the root joint is the shoulder. Okay, so then I'm going to shift select the geometry. Now if I had a watch, if I got separate geometry like a watch and rings, I would click on the root joint, I would click on the geometry of the arm, and then hold Shift key down, and then very carefully click on the other geometry I need to click on. The problem is that I do not want to click on any of this other stuff that you see around it. I don't want to click on the controller, I don't want to click on the IK handle, and I don't want to click on the joint again. I only want to click on the geometry that I want, that is extra geometry. So shift select the wristwatch. Just imagine a wristwatch here, and then maybe a couple rings here. Okay. All right. So then you're ready to skin. So now we're going to skin the geometry to the joints. It's called bind skin. So I'm going to go hold down the spacebar and go to skin. I'm going to go to bind skin. Let's kind of look at what we have here. I'm going to go ahead and click on edit, reset settings. Now classically this is just the default setting, okay? Now influences, you can turn that up or down, and there is going to be a certain bind skin influence and drop off rate we're going to create. Right now we've got the default setting of bind to joint hierarchy, bind method, closest distance. Now some of you may want to go out and find something that works best for you, but I'm just going to do closest distance. We have heat map and geodesic voxel. There are people out there that believe in that. No matter which one you do, which one you choose, make sure you do your research, and which video tutorial you pick to watch, make sure you understand that no matter what you pick in here, okay, you still have to paint weights. You can't get out of it. Alright? There are, and also depends on your geometry type, how this works. Now, if you do geodesic voxel, that gives you the best result right out of the box, and you're going to notice that. But the problem with that is some geometry doesn't react very well with the geodesic voxel, and depending on the complexity of your character, you may have some issues with that, meaning that you still have to paint weights. You still have to tweak weights out. So you're still down to the fact that you got to tweak out these little things. So keep in mind of that and be mindful of that. This is, the way I'm doing it here is not the only way to do it. It's not the only way. And of course, you guys can go out there and look for different ways and check out. And part of online learning is research. You can't get away from that, and I welcome it. So I'm just showing you one way, okay? Alright, so classic linear, interactive, and distance weight distribution. We're going to keep all this basically just reset, just our generic settings for now. And then we're going to go, we want to keep everything you see here. And we want to go ahead and click on bind skin and see what this gives us. Okay, so and you can play with this. This is what this whole lecture is about, and this tutorial is about playing with these settings. Okay, all right. So I want you to play with these settings and have fun with them and just explore. This is about exploring. You're not exploring on your character just yet, so we're going to go ahead and bind skin and see what happens. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and click on the controller. Now we don't need to see the joints, and this is what I'm going to ask you to do with your character as well, is that we don't want to select the joints accidentally, so let's go ahead and go show and then click off of joints. Okay. Now if you didn't see the joints in here, in your shading you didn't have X-ray joints on, so you make sure you have that on. So X-ray joints is on if you don't see your joints. Okay, probably should have said that earlier, I'm sorry. And then when we move it, you can see how it reacts. Okay, and our focus is just the arm here, what's happening. Okay, just the elbow area. So we're going to focus on the elbow area, nothing else. We're just focusing on one thing. Now in a normal hand you would focus on the shoulder, the elbow, the wrist, and the fingers. Right now we're just focusing on one thing because I want you to get comfortable with just painting weights. That's what this whole video is about, is getting comfortable how you paint weights and how you go about painting weights. So, okay? Alright, so that's really important. And you can see here is that we have that the default, this is what we get. Okay, with the default settings, this is what we get. Okay? And that looks pretty terrible. It's not horrible. It's just we need to paint weights. What's happening is here is we've got the collapse, the Volume is collapsing inside of the arm here, and so we need to paint those out. Okay. As we go out, it doesn't look so bad. So it doesn't look too bad when you kind of go a little bit like that, but when you go all the way, it falls apart. Okay. And if you look at your arm, if you pull your sleeve up, say you have a long sleeve, pull your sleeve up and put your arm at a 90-degree angle. Okay. Normally it does not look like that. Okay. It does not look that way. Okay. Alright, so the idea here is to make it look like you have muscle and tissue underneath, and with that you don't have that kind of reaction, basically garden hose issue. When you squeeze a garden hose, that's what it looks like. It loses volume because there's air. And with our tissue, our joints should not react this way. With tissue, the flexing of the tissue and compression of the tissue compress against each other. So look at your arm. That's kind of result what you want in real life, is look at your own arm and move it like 90 degrees like this. We got a 90-degree and compression. So what we're going to do now is, I could go back and let me go to show joints again, and let's look at some of the different types of skinning. Okay, let's go back to where I stopped. I didn't skin it. Okay, let's go ahead and see if I went back far enough. Yeah, I went back far enough. So go ahead and click on this and just select the geometry, and let's kind of look at the other ways of doing this. So let's go to bind skin, and this time instead of closest distance we're going to go geovoxel. Okay, and we're just going to leave the fall off rates and everything here just the way it is, and bind skin. Okay, let's take a look at this now. And you can see we're getting a nicer result right out of the box. Okay. And some people definitely like using that. Okay. Right, there's less work to do with that, and it looks more like your arm. You don't lose as much geometry. You still have a little bit of tweaking you still have to do. So it's really up to you how you want to go about doing this. Now this scale here we have is a very poor scale. And with geovoxel, you're going to find out that scale can affect your result. You may get unexpected results. With this scale, it worked out pretty good. Okay, but we can't keep it at that scale. This is like a really small scale. And what scale are we at? Let's take a look. And so settings and scale, we're in centimeter. So if we go to feet, that's what we're supposed to be at, and save. This is our scale. So yeah, so you can see that I'm not in the right scale, and this is very difficult to move around in feet. And this could affect your skinning, okay, for sure. So be very, very careful of that. Understand that scale does play a big factor in when you're binding skin. So just keep that in mind. Alright, so let's go back. I'm going to go back one more time. I just wanted to show you that. And you can kind of play with the other ones too as well. And just make sure that when you get to your character, this is where you can play around in this area here on this file, because you're not going to screw anything up with my arm, because you can always open it again. So if you screw it up, you can just go to File, Open, and find the file that you were working on, this guy right here, reopen it, and do it again. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we're going to skin it, bind skin, and we're going to go ahead, instead of geodesic voxel, I'm going to go into reset settings and just bind skin this way really quickly, and we're going to try to fix. I'm going to show you how to try to fix something that's really horrible like this. Okay? It's a little harder to do, but you may run into that, and I want to be able to show you. So, alright, so however you decide to bind the skin, if you do geovoxel or do just just the default settings like I have here, it's really entirely up to you. But the skinning process is all the same. So the process is that you move it or rotate. I've got an IK system in here. You would normally it's FK, so you would rotate this. We're not going to do that. We're using our you would rotate it to get that angle. So right now, if I click on this, then I would go in here, click on the geometry, and now we're going to go into skin, and we're going to go into paint weight. So we need to go into the option box. Okay. Now you have a choice. I prefer black and white. That's just me. I don't know why. I like it better, but some of you may choose to do a color ramp, and that's fine. And you can move that ramp any way you like and change the colors on here and just whatever you want to do. But I choose to do black and white, and it's right here if you want to use it. Alright, so a couple things you need to understand about how I'm going to teach you. This isn't the only way. Again, disclaimer here on those of you that want to go out and research and do something else. I'm okay with that. It's not going to hurt my feelings at all. But I just want you to know the disclaimer is this is just how I do it, and you may find something that you like better, and that is perfectly fine. Again, it's not going to hurt my feelings. The getting from A to B or from A to Z doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you get there. It's the results that matter. Is this technique going to be different from what you're going to see online? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe you'll find something online you like better. The idea is that whatever works for you, that's what I want you to do. Okay? Alright, so, and that's fine, and that's about learning. Okay, so I'm going to hold down the B key and my left mouse button, and just that's how I'm going to scale the brush. Okay? I'm going to go slow with this. Okay? How I like to paint, and you guys will find your own, I'll just kind of take you through this really quickly. When you click on the geometry itself, you really don't need to see anything else. So I can go to show and turn off the joints. That just kind of gets in the way. I don't like to see that. And so I'm gonna kind of fix this if I can. Okay, I'll get some good results because the geometry is well done and is high enough resolution, so we should be okay. So I want to paint, so I'm on mode paint. I'm gonna click on the left shoulder. You can see the influences on. So white means that if it's solid white, it's influenced by that joint 100%. Okay, as it grades off, you can see this is what happens with the when we skin it. Just using the default settings, we get this really bad garden hose type of losing volume thing here that we don't want. All right, so and we click the elbow, you can see the same thing, that this is what's influencing. The white is influencing, the elbow is influencing this area here, okay, and then the wrist, and so on and so forth. Okay, right? We're just going to focus on these two right now, so you get comfortable painting. All right. So I'm going to go to geometry, so we can add the geometry. We can smooth. I personally don't use replace and scale. Those become a real problem, and I choose not to use these. I've gotten really bad, unexpected results with these, and I just want to warn you about that. Okay. So I only go between these two. Okay. So add is very, very sensitive. Okay, the opacity I usually go at 0.05. It starts at 1, and that's way too much. You can see that's just way too much. Okay, so I go way down to 0.05, especially at this scale, and that might even still be an issue. I might have to go lower, and I just go really, really slow with the painting process. Okay, as you can see, I go really slow. Okay, And so I like to paint, like if I have this, I want that to be 100% right in through here. Okay, so I'll go 100% on that and just make sure that is nice and taken care of. There's nothing here that's going to be an issue or a problem. That's going to make sure I'm making sure that's 100% all the way around here. Okay, 100%. I don't want that to change at all. And then I'm going to go, when I get closer to this part right here, I want to make sure that is really low. So I'm going to start at 0.05, and I might even do a 0.01. So start really slow. That's the key here. Just like working in, if you've worked with ZBrush, you start really low with the opacity, the strength, right? And that will really help you control what's happening with the rest. And I'm going to make this a little bit smaller, okay? Because it works per vertex. It works at a vertex level. Okay, so I'm just going to paint around here and just get more comfortable painting and moving that out, and getting that volume back into this area here. And it takes time. So I'm trying to just paint that volume back into that area. Okay, all right. Painting volume. And slowly just painting that volume in there. I'm not willy-nilly doing this. I'm trying to be very careful in here. Just painting more volume in here. And then I'm going to go, as I work my way into this, I'm going to go to the elbow, and start painting this, kind of painting that in there. Okay, you can see that it's starting to close, which I want. Trying to be very, very careful. So I'm kind of getting a more natural look to this. So you can see that just takes time as I'm just kind of painting that in there and getting a more of a brighter white, as you can see. All right, that looks good. And we're getting nicer results. Okay, now I go a little bit too far, it looks like. Okay, so if I do that, what I can do is I can use the smooth tool, and smooth tool is an awesome tool. So you can work between the two, and you can see I'm getting a nicer result. Now if I look at my arm and I pull it in like that, I'm getting a nicer result. That looks a lot nicer than it did before. Okay. Alright, so just making sure that I'm going to get 100% here a minute, real quick. Just in this area here, because I feel that needs to be 100% right in through here. There we go. For the forearm. There we go. Okay. And that looks good. So I got 100% in through here, 100% in through here, so the volume doesn't change. Okay. So I can stop anytime I want. I can hit the Q key, and that will stop everything, and just kind of turn that off, and I can move that back and forth now. So I'm going to hit the W key and just going to move that back and forth. You can see that looks better. Okay, it's not perfect, but it's better. Okay. And some of you might question does this look as good as the GeoVoxel? Probably not, but it's getting there. Okay. So we're going to continue painting this part right here, and just kind of tweaking this out. So I'm going to kind of smooth these areas right here, as you can see where that we've got some areas that need to be smoothed. So I'm going to click on the geometry again, and I'm going to go in here to skin, and go back into paint weights. And now I'm going to click on smooth. Okay. Now smoothing, I'm going to go about 0.5. When I click on smoothing, I'm going to go 0.5, and I'm going to start smoothing this area here that I think is not so good. I'm going to use the B key and just kind of smooth this area here that looks a little bit crumpled. There we go, like that. I don't have to do much, just a little bit, just in that area, just to smooth it out. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to the shoulder and just smooth that out a little bit. Okay, go into here, just kind of smooth out those areas that are kind of having some issues between the two. Okay. And then that's it. And then that looks pretty good. So I'm really happy with that. And so now I'm going to hit the Q key. Q. There we go. And then we'll test that out again. So that looks nice. I like that. We're keeping the volume right through there, and you might say, well, that's pinching a little bit there, but you can go in a little bit deeper, but that looks pretty good. Pretty happy with that. Okay. Alright, so I want to try the geovoxel real quick and check out the results and see if we can how we can paint that out and make that even better. See if that's a little bit better and see if that works better for you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the joint and shift select the geometry, and we're going to go ahead and skin this, bind this skin, and this time we're going to go ahead and select geovoxel. And so go ahead, we're just going to leave the leave the default settings and click on bind skin. We're going to go ahead and go to show and turn off joints, and let's do a quick see how that looks. We're getting almost the same result as before. Okay. I'm going to go right into about here and see if we can get that fixed a little bit. We're getting a little bit of volume loss right through there. Again, it's not perfect. It's okay. And with some geometry, it doesn't look good at all. So you'll find that out real quick. You still have to go in here and paint ways. Okay. So with this, let's go in here with that. And you can see that we got some issues right through here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the smooth tool. Don't really like what's happening here. And so I'm going to make the brush a little bit bigger. Yeah, just be careful. And smooth tool opacity at 0.1. We probably want to go like 0.5 and go slow with this. And just kind of paint that out right there. Got some pinching right there. Let's go to the other elbow joint and fix that. Okay. And then, and that doesn't look too bad. Let's go to the back. Let's see, is there anything happening there? Yeah, I do see some issues there. So let's go ahead and smooth that out right there. And over on this side too as well, we've got some issues right in through here. So it's not perfect, but it does a pretty good job. I'm still having to paint. It's just, so maybe a little less painting, but the thing is, it's with the other one I'm able to be more precise. This is like it's got it added issues. You see, issues that I got to fix. Anyway, I just feel like I've got more control. I get a better result at first, but there's drawbacks to both. I feel like I still got to add more volume in here. That does not look good. So I'm back where I started. Basically adding volume. Let's do 0.05 like we had before. And let's add that volume back again in through here. Okay. And it's not so bad back here, but I still gotta add volume back there. Okay, that looks okay. And then go to the elbow again, adding volume through here. Okay, and then back behind the arm. There you go. Okay. And then right in through. Whoops, that might be too much. You have to be super careful with that area there. Let me go with 0.01 on that, and just kind of add volume where I need to right there. I got to be careful not to add too much too fast. It's right in through there, and then the shoulder joint right in through here. A little more there. Okay. And now we're ready to smooth. So let's go back into smoothing. Okay, this time I'm going to go 100 on that and just start smoothing this area out. I think we might like this result. See if that looks pretty good. Okay. Smooth that out a little bit more. And then the elbow, smooth that elbow part out through here and in through here. Okay. That looks pretty good. Pretty good. That looks okay. Go back into here. I need to smooth this. It's just a little bit weird right here. Okay. And hit the Q key. We're good. I think that's looking pretty good. Now let's go back and forth. Okay. Yeah, I like that. Looks pretty good. I got those issues smoothed out in here. Not too bad. Yeah. I think I'm getting kind of the same result that I had with the default. So I mean, you can see the differences in using GeoVoxel, which gives you a better result, but then it kind of has some what I want to call errors in the geometry, which you can smooth out and paint and tweak out, just like you did with the default. But I don't know. You have to make that choice. I'm not going to make it for you, so go ahead and experiment. And what you want to do, though, make sure that you're able to make sure you save your scene before you even your character, before you even do the skin weights and bind it, before you even bind, so you can go back and if you make huge mistakes, then you can go back and make adjustments. And I would only do one joint at a time and then save your work, do another joint, save your work, and continue on. And remember, you can mirror weights over to the other side. Alright, and just keep testing and painting and getting comfortable with painting, knowing what you're doing, and get your own technique down on this first, and then move on to your character when you're going to be ready. And then I'll have one more video that shows you how to get it prepped and started. Alright, I'll see you in that next video, and have a great week.